उल्लंघ्य सिंधोः सलिलं सलीलं यशोकवह्निं जनकात्मजायाः आदाय तेनैव ददाह लङ्कां नमामि तं प्राञ्जलिराञ्जनेयम्। आसाद्य साधकस्वामिन् आसाध्यं तव किं मतः रामधूत कृपा सिंधो मत्कार्यं साधय प्रभो। Many times we may wonder, bhakti with its emphasis on prayer, submission, humility, surrender to Bhagavan, seems very anti-ambitious, anti-heroic. We may wonder, does bhakti make one weak? Because all of us have a desire to do something special, to do something wonderful, to do something heroic. So therefore, can bhaktas be true heroes? We may often wonder, does bhakti result in one becoming submissive and weak? The answer is an emphatic no, N-O in capitals. Through Bhakta Hanuman, we learn what is the true essence of heroism. The true essence of heroism is to make headlines, no doubt, but to make headlines in the eyes of Bhagavan by doing real good to others, by serving others, by participating in God's work. The essence of true heroism is to make headlines in Rama's eyes, not just make headlines in the public eyes. This is what we learn from Bhakta Hanuman. Bhakti Yoga gives us real means, practical means, a positive alternative in the quest for true heroism. So, if we do something heroic, or when we do something heroic in service of Bhagavan, then that heroism does lasting good to others and to ourselves. This is what we learn from Hanuman. Our talents are not our talents. Our resources are not our resources. Our skills are not our skills. These are all endowments, gifts bestowed to us. We cannot call them our own. They belong to Bhagavan, and therefore they have to be put to use for his service. And in that process, by putting to use our skills, our talents, the special gifts that we have in his service and in serving his interests, all of us can become heroes. This is where Hanuman is a quintessential example of a bhakta who is also a supreme hero. Hanuman is humble, he is assertive, he is intelligent, he is persistent, he is pragmatic, he is dynamic, he is selfless, he is loyal, he is powerful. The adjectives can go on. It is rare to find a combination of such virtues. But the root of all these virtues is bhakti. The foundation is bhakti. Hanuman is the supreme servant of Rama. Who is the supreme hero? At the same time, by being the servant of the supreme hero, we also celebrate Hanuman as a real hero. One who is not a servant of the supreme hero can only be a zero. Hanuman, therefore, gives us practical ways of demonstrating true heroism. That is the reason why Sundarakanda is Sundara. Beautiful, because we see beautiful examples of true heroism. So when we visualize Hanuman, Hanuman is depicted as one who is always in Anjali Mudra, his hands folded together, which symbolizes quintessential bhakti. At the same time, he's also holding a mace, which symbolizes his Shakti. Bhakti and Shakti may seem paradoxical, may seem conflicting, but Hanuman shows how both of them can come together and coexist. Until now, we have seen Hanuman demonstrating his bhakti. Sundarakanda, a good amount of Sundarakanda demonstrates Hanuman's bhakti. The concluding portions of Sundarakanda is all about demonstration of Hanuman's Shakti. Hanuman shows that a Bhaktiman can also be a Shaktiman. And when Hanuman demonstrates bhakti, it is so very relishing. And when he demonstrates his Shakti, it is also equally relishing, because Hanuman also has this unique characteristic of sense of humor in whatever he does. After all, he's a Vanara. And in the process of demonstrating his Shakti, Hanuman also has a good time. And whenever Hanuman indulges in power play, he also demonstrates a sense of humor. And that is another reason for Sundarakanda to be also Sundara. After ravaging Ashoka Vatika, Hanuman decided that he should somehow get Ravana's attention. And he knew the only way to get Ravana's attention is to ravage Ashoka Vatika, Ravana's pride. When Hanuman ravaged Ashoka Vatika, it made Ravana literally cry. For the first time, all the Lankavasis saw a different facet of Ravana. Ravana breaking down when his ego was hit hard. Hanuman ravaged Ashoka Vatika. He vanquished thousands of Ravana's Kinkaras effortlessly. And he also defeated Jambumali. And now Hanuman is waiting for more action, thirsting for more action. Playfully seated on the archway of Ashoka Vatika, Hanuman is waiting now for more action. Ravana then sends the 7 sons of Prahasta, who bring their own army. Thousands of arrows are discharged towards Hanuman. Hanuman cannot be defeated. He crushes each one of them. Without using any sophisticated weapons, Hanuman manages to crush the 7 sons of Prahasta and the army. And after effortlessly doing the task, he once again playfully sits atop the archway to Ashoka Vatika, waiting for more action. Ravana is rattled. Then now Ravana decides to send important ministers. Now Ravana is rattled and is concerned. He did not expect this Vanara to be this powerful. So Virupaksha Yupaksha Durdharam Chaiva Rakshasam Pragasam Bhasakaranam Cha Panchasenagra Nayaka Sena Nayakas Virupaksha Yupaksha Durdhara Pragasa Bhasakarana, the pride of his army. Ravana sends them across, and he also briefs them. This evil Vanara possibly is coming from Indraloka. Possibly he has powers granted by Indra, and therefore watch out. Go, kill him, if not capture him. Hanuman first eliminates Durdhara by just throwing a boulder at him. He then kills Virupaksha, and then when Yupaksha approaches him with sophisticated weapons, he picks up a sala tree effortlessly and throws at him and kills him. Hanuman then deals with Pragasa and Bhasakarana by hurling a huge mountain, rocky mountain on top of them. All the chariots, horses, the army that came along with these Rakshasas all get vanquished in no time. And once again, Hanuman climbs atop the archway of Ashokavatika and waits for more action. Ravana now decides to send his own son, Akshay Kumara. Akshay Kumara comes along with his own battalion of Rakshasas with all kinds of weapons. But Hanuman once again kills Akshay Kumara too. Now Ravana is now in shock. So Ravana's garden, the pride of Lanka, Ravana named it as Ashokavatika. Ashokavatika, a garden where there is no Shoka. But that very garden now has become full of Shoka. It has become Shokavatika now. He named his son Akshay Kumara, one who is an immortal youth. That Akshay Kumara has now become Kshaya Kumara, one who died young. Ravana named these two thinking that he has power over everything. Now he realizes that after all, his powers are limited too. His Akshay Kumara has become Kshaya Kumara, his Ashokavatika has become Shokavatika. Loss over loss. Ravana was at loss to understand the Vanara's exploits. Now Ravana finds out ordinary weapons are not enough. Ordinary weapons are not enough to eliminate this Vanara. And therefore, Ravana decides the only way to destroy Hanuman is to use celestial weapons. And who else other than his own son, who is the master of using celestial weapons, the great Meghnada, the illustrious Indrajit. Ravana then summons Indrajit. And Indrajit now is given the task. Tatastu rakshoditir mahatma Hanumatakshe nihate kumara Manasamadhaya sa devakalpam samadideshe Indrajitam saroshaha. Saroshaha. Ravana is boiling with anger, uncontrollable anger. He seems to have no solution to this problem that is possibly facing for the first time ever in his life. Ravana is not used to defeat. Ravana is not used to facing this kind of an unsurmountable problem. Therefore, he is boiling. He is boiling, and he unable to know, unable to find out a possible way that can stop this Vanara from further causing damage. He addresses Indrajit. He says, "Hey Indrajit, you are the only one. You are the one who is capable of deploying divine astras, celestial weapons. And you are the only one who can put an end to the exploits of this Vanara. Tomastra Vichastra Vidam Varishtaha Surasuranamapi Shokadhata Sureshu Sendreshu Cha Drishtakarma Pitamaha Radhana Samchitastraha." Now Ravana tells Indrajit, you have been blessed by none other than Brahma with divine astras. You are the one who are a terror to all the devas, to all the celestials. You are a terror. You are the one who conquered Indra. Therefore, a Meghanatha, you are popularly called Indrajit, one who is victorious over Indra. Indra and all the devas cannot endure the strength of your missiles. You have been blessed with so many kind of missiles by Brahma. This is a time for you now to deploy those missiles. Time has come now. There is nothing impossible for you, hey Indrajit. Arise, come to the rescue of Lanka. Prepare and attack. Go and attack this Hanuman. This Vanara, he has to be eliminated. At best, at worst, he has to be captured and brought to me. Mamanurupam tapaso balam chate parakramaschastra balam cha samyuge tattvam samasadhya ranavavardhe manashramam gacchati nischithatam. Indrajit also is known for his austerities, his penance. He is also a tapasvi. The power of your penance, Indrajit, Ravana is motivating him. Your valor, your ability to discharge the various kinds of astras in warfare is only second to mine, is equal to mine. And therefore, you are the one who can now go and put a stop to this Vanara. Go ahead, Indrajit, victory shall be yours. Idam hi drishtva matiman mahadbalam kapehe prabhavam cha parakramam cha tamatmanam chapi samikshasaram kurushva vegam swabalanurupam. Indrajit, you're not only valorous, you are intelligent too. You should watch out for the strengths of the enemy who has come in the form of this Vanara. Watch out for his prowess, watch out for his valor. Keeping in view of his strength and keeping in view of your strength, ensure that you overpower him, overcome his strengths, see his weaknesses, exhibit your valor accordingly, and defeat him. Remember, no one is equal to you when it comes to using celestial weapons. So use the right kind of a celestial weapon. Deploy the right one. You have quite a number, but choose the right one which is appropriate to the occasion. Immediately Valmiki writes how Indrajit proceeds towards Ashokavatika. Just like Garuda, it seems Indrajit hastened towards Hanuman. And how Yalaish Chaturbhi. Incidentally, Indrajit's chariot is not driven by horses, it seems. Indrajit had, instead of horses, tigers. Yalai. Chaturbhi, 4 tigers drawing his chariot. Sitati Kshana Damstrai. No, this is how Indrajit frightens the enemy. Instead of going in a chariot. His chariot is always driven by very ferocious tigers. Ratam samayukta masamvegam samarurohendra kalpaha. Therefore, Indrajit proceeds, hastens towards Ashokavatika in a chariot driven by 4 tigers, and he is now ready to conquer Hanuman, and Hanuman there is waiting for more action. And then Valmiki beautifully writes, Tasya Ratanirgosham Jayasvanam Karmukasya cha Nishamya Harivirosau Samprahishta Tharo Bhavat. When Hanuman heard, when the rattling sound of Indrajit's chariot, the twang of his bow, and when he looked at this unique chariot being driven by not horses but by tigers, Hanuman, instead of being frightened, it seems, he's become even more thrilled with delight. At last, somebody is there who possibly could be an equal match, because Hanuman was bored, it seems. Until now, whoever came presented no challenge to him. He could effortlessly vanquish them. Now at least Hanuman thought somebody who could present him some challenge, and Hanuman became more thrilled with delight looking at Indrajit fast approaching. Valmiki writes, when Indrajit approached fiercely towards Hanuman, so all kinds of the animals all around were making sounds, and they all knew that there is going to be a combat which has never been witnessed before. Therefore, all quarters became gloomy, and ferocious animals howled in many ways. The Devas, the Nagas, the Kinnaras, the Yakshas, they all assembled, and they were all waiting for this kind of a combat for long. Ayantam saratham drishtva turna mandrijitam kapihi vinanada mahanadam yavartathat egavan. Vinanada Hanuman, Indrajit was trying to instill fear in Hanuman, and he was trying to do all kinds of things to get attention. On the other hand, Hanuman also knew how to counter this kind of an enemy. Vinanada Mahanada. Hanuman made a noise with great sound, with great resonating noise, and also he started growing up in size. He jumped from the archway and he started standing right in the pathway, growing in size. He made a huge noise, and even Indrajit, who was never ever defeated in any war before, started to think twice before approaching closer to Hanuman. And Indrajit immediately started to shoot countless number of arrows, discharged all kinds of arrows towards Hanuman. Sharanam antareshwashu yatartata mahakapihi haristasya vilakshasya moghayan lakshasya samgraham. It seems every arrow that Indrajit shot towards Hanuman became futile, because Hanuman was so swift. He was swifter than the arrow shot by Hanuman, that he could easily escape every arrow that was shot towards him. Even when Indrajit shooted multiple arrows at the same time, Hanuman managed to get away from every arrow that was shot at him. Indrajit was wondering what to do. Taubhau vega sampannau ranakarma visharadau sarvabhuta manograhi chakraturyadha adbhutam. Here, 2 warriors, both had their own strengths, with their own skills. It seemed they staged an excellent battle which captivated everybody looking at these two in combat. Hanumato Vedana Rakshasontam Namarutistasya Mahatmanontaram Parasparam Nirvishahau Babhuvatuhu Sametatau Devasamana Vikramau. Both of them coming into collision, and both of them getting frustrated because of each other's strengths. Both were, it seems, unbearable to each other. Finally, Hanuman also found somebody of equal caliber when it comes to warfare. Indrajit also for the first time came across somebody with this kind of valor, this kind of strength. And both of them were trying all kinds of tactics to overpower and Both were in a deadlock, fighting against each other. Then finally, Indrajit decided that time has come that he has to now use a celestial weapon. Indrajit immediately decided on what to do. Tatah paitamaham veeraha sostramastra vidambaraha sandate sumuha tejastama haripravaram pratihi. He decided to use Brahmastra straight away. He had no more patience to use other divine missiles. So Indrajit had in his armor several divine missiles. You could have used any, but he knew that possibly most of them would be futile because he has assessed Hanuman's strength and he decided that he must use only Brahmastra. And Indrajit takes the Brahmastra and shoots the Brahmastra, discharges it towards Hanuman. Hanuman realizes that Indrajit has now discharged the most powerful Brahmastra. Now, Hanuman also knows that Brahmastra cannot be defeated and Brahmastra also has to be respected. Knew that he cannot disrespect it and therefore Hanuman decides to submit himself to the Brahmastra. With folded hands, Hanuman receives the Brahmastra. No, Hanuman knows when to lose. He decides to lose to win. And we will see how Hanuman wins by deciding to lose at this time. Avadhyoyamiti jnatva tamastrenasta tattvavit nijagraha mahabahur marutatmaja indrajitam. Nijagraha, he gets bound by the Brahmastra. Now, Brahmastra normally eliminates immediately. Now, in this case, it's now tying up Hanuman. We will see why. Nijagraha tam marutatmaja. Marutatmaja is now getting tied with Brahmastra. Brahmastra now has Hanuman within its spell and begins to tie him. Tathota buddvasa tadastra bandham prabhoho prabhavat vikatamatme vedaha pitamahanugraham atmanaschaha vichitan yatmamas haripranitaha. Hanuman is reminded of the blessing of Brahma. Brahma once when he was a young child, when he was in his childhood days, he received the blessing of Brahma. The blessing is no missile, no celestial missile, including Brahmastra, can do any harm. And therefore, Hanuman knows that Brahmastra at best can only tie him up, can only bind him and cannot really do harm to him. Therefore, Hanuman lets himself bound by Brahmastra. Then, incidentally, now when this is happening, the foolish Rakshasas are rejoicing. Now, while Hanuman knew that the rope of Brahmastra is tying him, there are several Rakshasas who foolishly jumped in, celebrating, begins to tie with using other strong ropes so that Hanuman cannot escape. Now, Indrajit looks at it and Indrajit also is disturbed because Indrajit knows that Brahmastra, once there is another means deployed against one, the Brahmastra will automatically withdraw itself, which means a Brahmastra will only work as long as no other means is used. So when another rope is being used to tie Hanuman, automatically it seems the Brahmastra became less effective. Now, Hanuman knew this, Indrajit knew this, Indrajit was worried, but Hanuman decided on one thing. By being bound by the bark ropes which the Rakshasa was using, Hanuman decided to stay bound. He knew that Brahmastra will not tolerate any other means that is used at the same time. He knew that, but at the same time, he also knew that he can wait. Hanuman became thoughtful. Hanyamanas tatah krurai rakshasaihi kashtamushtavihi samipe rakshasendrasya prakshatat samanaraha. Then Hanuman was being dragged towards the palace of Ravana. Hanuman wanted exactly this. Hanuman wanted to finally encounter Ravana. While the spell of Brahmastra came to an end because of another rope being used, Hanuman acted as though he can be bound. Hanuman could have easily got himself disentangled, but he decided not to be. So he allowed himself to be bound and dragged by all the Rakshasas. The Rakshasas who did not understand this were celebrating. And Indrajit also did not know that Hanuman realized this, and Indrajit led all the Rakshasas towards Ravana's palace. And as the Rakshasas dragged Hanuman towards Ravana, he was taken and presented to Ravana. And then Ravana, and then as Hanuman entered Ravana's palace, as he was dragged along, it seems Hanuman looked at Ravana. And then Valmiki starts capturing Hanuman's thought process. Hanuman looks at Ravana, and then he begins to think, tells himself, Aho Rupam, Aho Dairyam, Aho Sattvam, Aho Jyutihi. This is the first time he's seeing Ravana in action. Earlier he had seen Ravana while he was asleep, and then he realized that Ravana was not an ordinary Rakshasa, but now the Ravana seated on a throne, on an ornate throne in his palace. Aho Rupam, Aho Dairyam, Aho Sattvam, Aho Jyutihi, Aho Rakshasa Rajyasya Sarvalakshana Yuktata. Yadi adharmo na balavan syat ayam rakshaseshwaraha syat ayam suralokasya sashakraya apirakshita. One important trait of Hanuman here comes. Hanuman is identifying streaks of Ravana's strength here, but he was neither jealous nor he was insecure. It is Hanuman's greatness to recognize streaks of strength in the enemy. He looks at Ravana and he says, this Ravana, Aho Rupam, Aho Dairyam, Aho Sattvam, he is indeed really powerful, valorous. He is no doubt, he is not ordinary. He is no doubt a leader, but unfortunately a misguided leader. Unfortunately, he is walking on the wrong path of adharma. If only this Ravana was virtuous, if only he did not walk on the path of adharma, he could have truly been a protector of all the three lokas. It's quite unfortunate that all these qualities that he has been put to wrong use, and Hanuman is thinking on these lines, and Hanuman is wondering how to now engage in a conversation with Ravana, because Hanuman also has to finish his task of his mission of coming to Lanka. Most part of the mission is over. The only part that is remaining is to instill fear in Ravana, which is also ensured to do. But now, before departing, he has to give a message to Ravana, and Hanuman is collecting himself, getting ready to address Ravana. Now Ravana looks at his minister and asks him to start to interrogate Hanuman. What ensues next? Let us see in the next session. Until then, Jai Shri Ram.